For those that are joining us, hi, welcome to episode 2 of the Monetize Your Talent series. Great man here, founder of the Monetize Your Talent series. Literally have a t-shirt right now. So I'm inviting professionals from all over LinkedIn to share their value with us and how they've been able to use LinkedIn to build their business, find partnerships, literally get jobs, and all of that. And if you're just joining, let us know where you're commenting from. I'll be sure to give a shout out. Uh, let us know.
I'm pulling up the chat so I can see what everyone's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do as well.
Okay. I see starting soon, so y'all have to let us know if you can see us.
Yeah, guys, just let us know. Okay, so here with us is Anna. Anna is a big community person and founder of AB2 agency. And I'm just going to give you the floor to introduce yourself. Let me try to get some of these comments in.
Okay, awesome. So hi everybody. I'm Anna Bullock. I am branded as your business mom. You've probably seen that on my post at this point if you're in this event. And really, the whole thing that I do is with businesses, I help them optimize their systems. So I'm helping them define their workflows, get rid of things that are redundant, automate what they can, and then with all of you guys on social, it's really just not gatekeeping and sharing resources and kind of showing what I've learned and letting it help other people. So very excited to have this chat today.
Yeah, amazing. So I think just tell us a bit about, how it's been. I'm assuming you had a 95 background, and how has the transition, been for you? So you can give us some of that context, and then we can, move into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done a little bit of everything. When I was younger, it was, a babysitting business in my neighborhood, and I worked in fast food, and I worked as a waitress, and all of those types of roles. And then I got into corporate, where I was an office admin, and then at that company, I worked my way up into sales, marketing, you name it. I was probably doing it at some point, and I realized I'd make a lot more money if I took care of myself. So when I started having issues with like being able to pick up my kid from school because of my schedule, or getting sent home like during the pandemic, I just went really hard and started my side hustle, which went really well and turned into a business, which I've been doing for actually the past 6 years now. Wow, time flies. But yeah, so that's how we got
So
here today.
that's a lot. I think you've literally worked in almost every sector then.
What did you say?
Yeah, as I think you've worked in almost every sector here because so I also started out as like a hobby boy in a restaurant
Hmm.
before I, had a fashion business, lost that business, started an ebook, and happened upon the digital space. And as they say, the rest is history. Um, Here we are. So, how's the transition been for you in terms of starting out the business? How do you know that? How did you know this is the business to get into, and what spurred you?
Yeah, so for me, I guess I've seen a lot of economic craziness being in the States when I was growing up. Like my peak, oh, I want to grow up and who am I going to be when I get older was during a recession, which we're going through again. And so I learned really young to just pay attention and watch the market are talking about, listen to what people that you work with are complaining about or concerned about, and kind of pay attention to the news as well. And so, paying attention to where there were jobs, that's where I would go. When I was in college, it was just, oh, what are flexible jobs? Being a waitress, right? And so now with the business, I just started with the skills I had, which at the time was being a VA. One of my wonderful clients, who I consider more of a mentor than a client, was like, actually, you're doing project management and charge more. So I started doing that. And the more that I pivot in my career as I learn skills, the more I'm able to survive the market, because I feel like a lot of people, they get really good at something and they try to do that for 20 years, and sometimes they
Yeah,
can. For example, like my auntie is a chef, but a lot of the time you can't. You have to pivot, you have to learn new skills, you have to rebrand, and do new
yeah.
things, and that's kind of how I keep up with it.
Yeah, and I think it's something I admire about you because if you guys don't know, most of the tools I'm using today, Anna is the one that's like, she gives me a tool and like, oh, help, check this out, or check me out here, and then I check it out, and then I like the flow. Then I'm like, you need to teach me this. So I think that in terms of leveraging new tools and also leveraging new skills, um, you are really really great at that. So a lot of people also want to know, like, how did you get your paying clients for your agency? I know it's one thing to start a business; it's another thing to even find, a partner, and we would get to
Yeah.
that. But so, what was the journey for you? Getting your first clients. Was it on LinkedIn, or was it from your 9 to 5? Most people start their side hustle and then eventually exit from the 9 to 5 to make it a full business. So how was that for you?
Yeah, so I have kind of two areas of my business. And so for my one-on-one freelancing, what I've been doing for, over 6 years now, that started as a side hustle. And I really went, I guess it's not traditional, but like the traditional route of like freelance sites. I was like the queen of going on Upwork every day and submitting 20 applications until I ran out of connects. That's not necessarily something that I do as much now, just where I'm at in my career, but also just because of freelance platforms being somewhat exploitative with their practices at times. But it is somewhere to get reviews, to get exposure to clients that you really wouldn't meet otherwise. So I did start on that kind of path. And then eventually I started going on podcasts. And even now I do LinkedIn. And I get a lot more inbound clients now from just being public. But I will say the one thing that really changed it and kind of went from freelance sites to what I'm doing now with social would be getting partnerships. I didn't realize how important partnerships were. So, for example, I'm partnered with ClickUp, and I've demonstrated my skills. They verified me as a consultant, and you get leads through that. You get to participate in events. I was in a community webinar with them yesterday. So it's really just finding multiple channels to show people your skills, so you can attract the right people. But if you got to start somewhere, apply on the type.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just confirm, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Lost you for like a bit. Well, yeah. Oh, so you mentioned you had a partnership with ClickUp, and that's how you scaled to getting to where you are with your business. Um, so how did that come about? Like in terms of the partnership, was it an outreach, or like what was the channel you used to close these guys, and what was your processes? If you'd like to share with us as well.
Yeah, so I had been doing work on the platform for a while, building things for clients. And just as a project manager, I'd been using ClickUp, Asana, all the typical softwares. And what ended up happening was I saw that they had a partnership program. I noticed someone that I watched on YouTube to learn from mentioned it in their
Oh,
video. They're like, I'm a verified ClickUp consultant. And I said, what is that? And so I got to Googling, and they had an application straight on their website. And basically, with the application, I had to demonstrate projects I'd done before, show my skills, explain my company structure, and then they decided if I was a fit or not, and they were willing to endorse me as a consultant. And Make.com, same thing. I used the software a lot, realized they had a partnership program, applied. It's not always that straightforward, but in tech, most companies have partners because they need people to help with implementation.
to
They
help,
just do
yeah,
tech support. They don't want to build
to
everyone's
help
workspace.
of their use cases as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really amazing because especially in the course of this business that we do, a lot of people don't really know how to go for these partnerships, and I think it's a conversation that is happening in recent times on LinkedIn. You hear creators are now interested in like partnerships with brand and also helping them
Hmm.
push their brand out where, as well as there being like a value sharing. So I think let's talk about your agency now. Can you break down what your agency like helps people do, and how ClickUp comes in? I know you mentioned Click, you mentioned Big.com. How does these guys come into like automate the processes?
Absolutely. So for my agency, it's with my partner Abdullah. He's incredible. So I highly recommend, following the things that he has on LinkedIn as well. We connected because we were both consultants in the ClickUp program in particular, and we realized we had a lot in common. We think a lot alike. We have very different skill sets, which are complementary, but we realized that we look at systems the same way, very holistically, and we wanted to build something together for these larger scale projects that are honestly just a lot to manage on your own. And so we started working together. informally and helping each other out when we were stuck on something. And then we realized we should collaborate. And so we started a content series earlier this year with a really great client. Shout out to Jonathan.
Yeah.
He'll be watching this eventually. And we were sharing, how do you even build a ClickUp? Why do you even look at processes, right? And so we realized we work great and we started taking clients. And we both have our own businesses, so it's a little bit easier that way because you can just bring your own clients into the fold,
Yeah.
and bring them straight in. But we also post on LinkedIn. We also put in requests for proposals and things like that when it makes sense.
Yeah, like what's that partnership like? I know I was trying to like get to that. You've talked about Abdullah a lot, and for those of you that don't know, Abdullah is like a partner at AB2 agencies, and I've watched a couple of your videos. Like, how did that partnership start? What was the meeting point? Was it, oh, he was a fellow partner at ClickUp, or like you met at a conference? Like, how does this
Mhm.
partnership work? Because I think what you've achieved with Abdullah is a very rare thing that
Thank you.
people in the business space don't get to achieve in a while, because it's very difficult finding out someone that is going the same way you're going, and someone that is sharing the same values, and someone that is also easy to work with, especially in terms of starting out a startup, right? And so, like, what was the process? How was the meeting? Like, at what point did you realize, guys, we need to like start something big? Because I'm so impressed with what you guys are doing. Like, very very
Yeah.
impressed. I always look out for these videos. So yeah, you can
Well,
share.
thank you. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. Honestly, I have to give 90% of us deciding to partner the credit to him because we met through ClickUp. There's kind of group chats and things like that with the consultants so we can help each other out, help each other solve problems. And he had like a particular use case a long time ago. It's months and months, almost a year now, where he was like, hey, I know you do like automation and stuff outside of ClickUp. I have this interesting use case. Like, do you mind looking at it? And I did. And when I looked at it, we ended up basically solving the problem together so he could move forward and build everything out. And so then I kind of became someone that he could come to when he had automation questions. I learned a lot about his agency experience, his operational excellence. He's the guy for ops. And so when I have those questions, I'd ask him. So it's very informal, lots of coffee chats, lots of DMs, lots of Slack messages.
Yeah.
And then we just got to a point when we were collaborating on something we were building originally as a portfolio example, because in our work, a lot of stuff's NDA protected and we can't share it. And then
Mhm.
he just basically pitched, like, why don't we just actually collaborate on something real for like a real client? And I was like, you know what? Let me think about it. And then he asked me again. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So it was very much like a slow build. It was just us getting to know each other, learn to trust each other, learn about how each other works. I collaborate with people a lot, but he's very much someone that I built the kind of relationship where I'm like, oh, we can combine money. We can talk about real stuff now, because I
Mhm.
know your character. So I guess just taking the time.
Yeah. And I think just going off script here for a bit, and I think that's like the beauty of LinkedIn. You meet amazing
Yes.
people that you can build relationship with, and ultimately start a business, or form a partnership, or whatever. I mean, the sky is the stepping stone, as you may call it, right? And
Yeah.
let's talk about DMs on LinkedIn, and showing up on LinkedIn and meeting people. So there's this conversation happening on LinkedIn right now. People are talking about, stop sending me DMs, stop code DMing me. If I see this
Yeah.
again, I'm blocking like 5 people, 10 people per day. And let's talk about how people form genuine relationship, off of LinkedIn. So I'd like to hear, your take on that. How do people form this relationship on LinkedIn? And you can just stretch it, right? Talking about
Yeah.
based on profile, based on how you position yourself, through your post before like sending the DM. So yeah.
Yeah, so I obviously don't have the expertise on everything, but my personal opinion is, if you have
Mhm.
something to offer me, I don't mind that you're in my DMs because you're not asking me to do something, right? You're asking to provide value to me. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean like I want to sell you something, right? It means like, oh, we have this cool thing we're doing. I know from your content that you might enjoy this. Do you want to be a part of it, or do you want to see it? Whatever. Personally, in terms of relationships, I really start with people's content, and if I like their content, I'll follow them, right? And I'll reach out to them to connect. I don't really go in their DMs immediately because I want to make sure that it's someone I even want to get to know, because people will surprise you with the types of things they'll post.
Yeah.
You're like, actually remove connection. So I
Yeah.
definitely would say, like, just engage with their content, give them your genuine feedback. I think so many of us silently appreciate other people's work. I'm at the
Mhm.
point where I just shout it out. I have like a whole series on Fridays where I'm like, follow these people, they're their best. This is why I like all
Yeah,
their
yeah,
content. And you
yeah.
don't have to do all that. I'm a little extra for that, but I will say like just commenting, liking, reposting. People notice that they appreciate you engaging with their work. For DMs, someone actually once sent me a DM text, which I thought was really funny. It was like a really cute GIF of a cat, and I thought that was really cool. She was like, "I feel bad just sliding straight into your DMs." And so I responded to her because I was like, you know what, that's a lot of intention. And I think that's the
Mm.
ultimate thing of the word salad I've just given you is intention. Like if you have good intentions and it's clear you're not sending this message to 500 people, people are more likely to respond.
Yeah, I mean that's really awesome because I think most people don't understand the essence of DMs and essence of outreaches, and I believe that
Yeah.
outreach DMs, like, they are literally the soul of every business. Like if you're saying you're starting out a business on LinkedIn and you're just making posts, like I hear people a lot say they just make posts and then they wait for the posts to bring in the audience,
The
like you're
work.
huge opportunity in the DMs. And why I say that, because I used to be one of them. I used to just come on
Mm,
LinkedIn, I schedule the post, comments, and just interact with some comments. I just leave it for the day, and then I
mm.
think for the past, couple of months, I've sent DMs. I mean, we were here
Yeah.
as an evidence of how far DMs can go. And so send this DMs and I see like how much of an opportunity like I've been missing. And I think is a
Mm,
conversation that should happen. I was having a live Q&A with my community last week, and this conversation came up. That's why I decided to, like, let's go this route so that
yeah.
we talk about it, and they can hear it from an expert's mouth as well, that you need to like set those DMs, you need to build these relationships, because LinkedIn is about networking, it's about building quality and genuine
Yeah.
relationships. It doesn't necessarily need to lead to a job or partnership, but you are getting to know people. And that's why we always have these coffee chats, and all that. Yeah, so let's talk about this is the Monetize Your Talent series, and we
Hmm.
have young professionals trying to, do something for themselves, and we have the talented guys also trying to, seek partnerships and trying to monetize what they have. Like in terms of structure, say
Hmm.
I'm a professional coming out on LinkedIn, how am I able to like structure myself to position myself for opportunities, and also, organize the messy middle, right?
Yeah.
Sending out the DMs, knowing who I connected with last week, tracking the DMs and all of that. Like, how can I um, do this, structure the flow, and as well as organize, the messy middle?
Absolutely. So I think when it comes to how you show up on here and how you secure, different relationships and different partnerships and things like that, there's a few different ways. But when it comes to monetizing, that's getting people to open their purse. It's a little bit more intense, right, of a decision for people to make. And so, what I often see the most success is not just myself, there's plenty of creators making way more than me doing this, right? It's products and services, because ultimately, what are you giving value? You're either giving me something I could use or you're giving me advice I can implement. And so, whatever your skill is, like I have a colleague, shout out to Carrie. I'll comment his profile after this live is over, but his skill is really connecting people. And I'm someone that I'm like, if I really needed someone to like hype me up for an event, or I needed someone to like hold me accountable, like he's the reason I submitted an application to write for Buffer recently. Like
I
I
think you
will
have
be
a
paying
full,
him.
sorry to cut you. I think you have a full community on LinkedIn, like literally people
Yeah.
that cheer for you. Like, and I'm seeing that, like I told you, I love the synergy, I love the energy.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
It's because I love community in real life, right? So I'm not doing anything different with my friends, family, and the people locally to me. I'm just taking that same energy that I've had from the people around me my whole life, and I'm putting that into this virtual space that I'm cultivating. And
Yeah.
so, community isn't just me posting valuable things and people liking it. And it's like, oh, great job, Anna. Thank you. It's also me engaging with people's work because I like it. Me, reposting someone's opportunity where they need to hire someone because I'm sure people in my network need a role that fits that description. It's very give and take. You have to come into it. I mean, like, it's great that I make money from, my talent being shown on LinkedIn, but it's still not and will never be the primary reason I'm here. I'm here to build relationships. I'm here to meet really cool people doing really cool work. And 90% of my time is spent doing that. And then when the 10% comes through that's monetizable, it's really exciting and I'm grateful for it. But, I have my other channels and ways that I make that as well. Keeps it normal, keeps it genuine.
Yeah. So in terms of like your tools to like organize, how do you track? How do you track, who you sent, this
Yes.
DM to? Like, how do you track? I sent this connection. Now they've replied. What am I going to send next? And all of that. I'm asking for myself
Mhm.
because it's something I'm doing, but I
I
think
know.
I'm losing track right now. I can see someone
I
has
got you.
accepted.
So
I'm like,
there's
oh, I've forgotten why I connected to this person, but there was a reason. There was a reason. Yeah.
hmm There's two things you want to do in order to keep track of it, and especially when you scale it and you start growing. Have a routine. So for me personally, like unless it's someone that I'm already connected to that like has my email or number and we're engaging actively, I'm not necessarily responding the moment I get a DM. If I'm responding the moment I get a DM, it's because I'm online checking my DMs for that 10 minutes that I said I would. So it's really having a routine where it's not interrupting your concentrated work and the things that you're doing, outside of this to make money every 5 minutes or every 5 hours. But it's, a
Mhm.
few times a day, depending on how much you're getting notifications, making sure you respond to those DMs. And then also routine of posting. So like I can't, every time my little notification on my tablet goes off that someone liked something on LinkedIn or commented on a post, I just turn those off at this point. I just respond to them when I have a few minutes, and I do it all at once. So I would say like a routine, keeping it from taking over your life because it can on any social platform. But then to track it, it's really up to how you are as a person. So if you're very visual, like I would use something like Xtiles or Trello, where you can like have a photo to like remember who this person is, their name, and
Yeah.
some tag about why you connected. Or if you're someone who just wants a big list of people with a little column that reminds you why, do something like a Notion or a Google Sheet. There's a lot of free things you can do as well. I've built
Mhm.
so many ClickUp CRMs because in there you can email the person and the replies will come straight to their little card. It's amazing. So it's really just building basically a spreadsheet or a database and have like name, email, a link to their profile because otherwise you're gonna have to find it every time, and then
Yeah.
like your notes about them. Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry to cut you for a bit. So I think that because we moved to StreamYard from
Yeah.
side, I
Riverside.
think a lot of people were on Riverside and they were trying to
Oh
join in,
no.
but yeah, it wasn't. So I'm just trying to put out a post.
Yeah. Take a
Uh,
second. It's no worries.
yeah, just trying to put out a post right now. But I think people are joining in. Hi guys. So if you're joining in, so
Cool.
sorry. We had a tech issue with Riverside and we had to move to StreamYard. And I think
Yeah.
that in terms of organizing, I take responsibility for that. So if you're joining us, let us know where you're commenting from, and we can always shout you out. So I have here with me Anna, co-founder of AB2 agency, where she helps businesses set up their systems. And so far, we've talked about positioning on LinkedIn. We've talked about outreaches, and we've talked about how to like build genuine relationships and hold certain cool conversations, on LinkedIn. So if you're joining, let me know where you're commenting from. I'm gonna be shouting you out. Please send the link to all your friends, and they should join in with us. It's a big party up here. So guys, join in, join in. Um, so yeah, let's just give it a sec, 2 minutes. I'm just gonna reply on that
Yeah, please
group.
do.
Yeah, to let them know that okay, guys, you can join on this.
Okay.
Edit posts. We are live.
I see the little LinkedIn icon says that's a good sign. It means people are able to join.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just saw that. Oh, just a few people joined in, and a couple of DMs coming in and like, oh, seems I'm in the wrong event, and all of that.
Oh no.
So, oh, Afwe, it's nice to connect with you from Africa.
Hi.
Ivory Coast. Oh, you're here for your girl, Anna. Oh, nice.
That's my friend right there. I love her.
Oh yeah. I think you told me about her. You told me about
I
her.
did.
Yeah,
See her profile. This is what okay, so what we were talking about earlier, for people that missed it,
yeah,
when you're like people's work, sharing their work. I was telling him, I was like, she's amazing. She builds really cool stuff. You need to check out her stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, that's a great example of what we were talking about earlier.
Alfred, I'm gonna shout you out. I'm gonna learn from Anna how to literally just shout people out on LinkedIn.
You should.
Sometimes
People are doing cool things.
sometimes I'm just caught up. That's just the thing. But I'm just gonna learn. I'm just gonna learn. It's gonna take that sacrifice from me. So yeah, in terms of tools, right? Are there tools that you use to like organize your flow? I know you've talked about
Yeah.
systems that you use, um to organize your schedule around LinkedIn. But in terms of tools, what tools help you grow
Yeah.
here on as well?
So in terms of being organized, there's a few. So there's this thing called Calendar Bridge, and essentially, sometimes when I work with clients, I have like an internal email on their Microsoft account or their Google account that I have to use, and they'll invite me to events on that. And it has nothing to do with my regular calendar, and so that website lets me sync my regular calendar there as busy so that I don't get double booked, and then it lets me sync their calendar to mine so I don't have to open that calendar up to find it. So super cheap, super awesome tool. I've used it for, oh my god, like I think 3 or 4 years now. So super simple, but it's the little things. Scheduling, whether it's cal.com, Calendly, there's so many options. Having a way when a client's like, I want to meet with you this week, you can be like, here's my link, find what works for you, and not
Yeah,
sending a list of
I
times
literally
back and
just
forth.
I
You
signed up with
did?
Cloud, so I've abandoned Calendly.
Nice. Why'd you
Yeah.
abandon it? Is it just cal.com had more features or?
So I think that in terms of personalization, Cloud.com is good.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that a lot of people, I think it's also a bit of peer pressure. And so I think that some of the, clients I work with as well, use
Yeah.
Cloud.com. So I'm like, guys, let's just be in the same ecosystem.
Yeah. No,
So
I love that.
hi Silver from Jos. Anoluapo Sukoto. I hope I'm getting this. I know this is Nigerian. Frederick, hi. Joanne from Uganda, nice to connect with you.
Hey, y'all.
Chia, nice to connect with you. Atat, this is my good friend, Atat. Nice to connect with you. Says he's connecting from heaven. That's amazing. Eno, nice to connect with you. Mercedes, nice to connect with you. So we're still on the conversation of joining
So,
LinkedIn systems that help you grow, and you've talked about car.com. In terms of um, systems that help your clients, what has been like the challenge running your
mhm.
own business, and what are also common challenges that you see businesses, especially startups,
Mhm.
face, that you think that having a system in place solve this.
Okay, so that's a big question, to be honest with you. There are probably 5 tools at a minimum for every problem that a business has. So one of the biggest problems people have is having too many tools, like they're using too many things and it's more work than it's worth, or they don't have enough tools, and so they're doing way too much in like a spreadsheet, or they're doing way too much in like a Google Doc. In terms of other problems, I would say the biggest one that I see, no matter how like technically enabled a business is communication. So the CEO or the founder will tell me one thing, and then their middle management will tell me a different thing, and then the team members will have a totally different idea of what's going on or what the workflow should be. So I would say communication is big, and a lot of that comes down to just having documentation, having really good onboarding when you hire someone. I don't know if y'all have ever worked a job where you start and there's no training, and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? But that happens a lot more than you would expect. So I would definitely say communication is a big one as well. And then just being organized. So many businesses, and we've all been through it. I've been through it in the past. You miss a deadline because you forgot where you put something or you forgot about a task. So building a task management system and making sure that you check it regularly and that it has good reporting so you're not chasing down your work.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, as Siva, I said cow.com. Check it out. It's a good calendar platform that just helps you sync
Yeah.
meetings with people.
And it
So
has
in
great
terms
free options too.
oh yeah, I'm still on the free
Yeah.
option. Like most of these
Yeah. Me
platforms,
too.
I need to make enough money to to pay for the paid version. So in terms of freelancers, and
Mhm.
I know you've answered this question in bit, but in terms of freelancers coming on the platform, coming on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
what are the structures you think that can help them? I know you've talked about working on freelance platforms. When you're working on the freelance platforms, were you
Mhm.
leveraging systems, or was it like for most of us, you just have to rough it up and just get in the platform and try to figure it out? Like
Yeah.
how your client outreach system like? Yeah.
Okay, so on the freelance sites, it was pretty straightforward. It's kind of what I told you about LinkedIn DMs. It
Yeah.
was, having a routine. So every morning, get up, do 5 applications. Eventually, someone will hire you. And then
Mm,
the second thing was being organized. Luckily, platforms, whether it's Contra or Upwork or TopTool, all these different platforms, they normally have like a list of what you've applied for and a list of who's looked at your applications. They do a lot of that work for you. When it comes to you go on a podcast and you get leads, or you're in someone's video, or someone shouts you out on LinkedIn, it's really just having a system that you can do. It can look pretty and it can be great, but if you don't use it, it's literally pointless. So it's learning, like, do I need a lot of structure? Do I need something that I can check on my phone because I'm always on the go? And then, learning about what the tools are that are available. But it's really just, yeah, keeping track of the person, making sure there's date fields to know when your deadlines are, and then having a routine to check it because technology fails. And sometimes your report's going to be wrong or it's not going to be showing up on your dashboard. So,
yeah. I think it's a good thing you actually spotted, because I from your conversation I'm understanding now that talking about systems is not just about the tools. And
mm-mm.
honestly, I thought it was just about the tools. I thought we are
That would
gonna
make it
like be
easy.
I thought we are gonna be talking about, yeah, ClickUp, helps me do this,
Yeah.
make.com helps. Well, I think understanding systems has to do with your routine, what you
Hmm.
say you're gonna do, your schedule, and pretty much understanding what you're meant to do and the deadline for that. So what are like the top common mistakes you think people are making, on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to like,
Mm.
client acquisition, and also, trying to like get clients? And now this is two questions. That's one. Also, what is like the mistakes people are making in terms of onboarding a client? I know that it's very difficult for freelancers, to, especially today, to get clients. It's also
Hmm.
more difficult to maintain some clients. So, what are like some of these strategies that's helped you, onboard clients properly, communicate
Yeah.
with them better, and yeah, just systems you have around that. So let's talk about that more.
Okay, awesome. So I've actually transparently I've learned a lot of this through trial and error. When I first started freelancing, I admit I was a terrible communicator. I was either communicating way too much every little update I made, or I was going a week without updating them until it was perfect. So I definitely recommend when you first meet a client and you're vibing and they're like, I want to sign this contract, before they pay you, find out, how do you like to communicate? Do you prefer I text you? Do you prefer I email you? Do you want a Google Doc that you check every morning? Because you could be bothering someone and not realize it. So that's a very good strategy that helped me a lot. In addition to that, I'm very real with clients and I ask them like how often. So some clients are like, to be real with you, every single time you're working on this, I want you to log time and I want you to tell me exactly what it was. Others are like, please don't make me think about this until it's at this milestone, right? And I'll know you're working on it because you'll hit your deadline. So it's really just having better communication from the beginning and setting an expectation of, this is how I work. You're a lot more put together if you can show clients how you work and you get to decide that part. So you can say, we have a kickoff call, I send you a report every Friday, XYZ, whatever you want your process to be for your service, which you should think through and make. You communicate that from the beginning because it's better to miss a client than to get one that's misaligned, because that always takes time and money out of your pocket.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people say, I lost this client, I lost this amount of money, and
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you losing this on some things that you can control? So I know that this is like a problem for most freelancers, especially, and also when it comes to remote work, knowing how to like communicate. But I think that
Hmm.
it's remote work because within a global company or wherever you're working with, there are usually systems that you just come into the company, and you are a part of the system, so they onboard you and tell you, okay,
Yeah.
this is it's going to be. But when you're venturing out on your own, it's usually very difficult. And
Hmm.
I think, like you said, communication is it's a great deal. So for
Yeah.
you, what are like some of the earlier mistakes you made, in terms of starting out, on the freelance part? Let's like really, dig into your journey for
Yeah.
some of these practical insights.
I made almost all of them. So, the first one that I'll say that directly relates to what you were just talking about is not differentiating how you act as an employee versus how you act as a freelancer. Like, even if you don't have like a legal structure for your business and you're just doing contracts as an individual, you still need to treat your personal brand and your services like a business as if it had 50 employees. So, when I first started applying for freelance roles, it was very much people pleasing and doing every single thing I could during the application process for free, and trying to make them happy, right? Like you would with a boss if you don't have proper boundaries. I also would
Mhm.
say with pay, when you're in corporate or you're in even just like a wage labor job, typically they're
Yeah.
like, this is what we pay, deal with it. You have to negotiate when you're a freelancer. So there are
Okay.
tools, that you can look up. I used to use Glassdoor when I first started. Now I do a little bit more sophisticated research. I'm sure you can probably use AI for this at this point, but researching what are the market rates? Like if you're a project manager and you look up, what are project managers making, it can be anywhere from like $7 to like 150, depending on what type they're doing, where they're
Yeah.
located, the scope. So doing your research and saying, well, I feel like X amount isn't appropriate for my experience level, for my knowledge and what I have in the industry. And then if you pitch 100 clients and no one buys, maybe drop your rate a little bit, right? Or if you pitch and
Okay.
everyone's buying and you're overwhelmed, but your bills aren't paid, maybe raise your raise a little bit, right? You got to kind of find that equilibrium
Yeah, you
and
gotta find
trial
the
and error.
balance.
Hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Guys, so this is Anna from AB2 Agency, and we're having this conversation around creating systems for your growth that helps you track your clients, also help you scale whatever you're doing in terms of onboarding new clients. You want to learn how to onboard new clients, you want to learn how to communicate with your clients. So please, if you have a question for our speaker, leave it in the comments. We would always highlight it, bring it up, and she would really um, love to share this with you. Also, Anna has a gift for us. So definitely we'll be
Yes.
sharing this with the community as well. We'll be dropping like a link that you can just log in and insert your email, and then we can just send this over to you. Yeah, Anna. So I love
Yeah.
how you've talked about negotiation and finding the balance between starting out and I'm just good at what I do, you just have to pay me this, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
problem. I think it took me a while before I realized some of this, and I think no
Yeah.
regret for the a lot of people don't know that you have to actually go and look at what the rates are, look at what the competitive rates are, and have that boldness to negotiate your value. So I mean in
Yeah.
terms of negotiating your value as well, let's talk about
Mm.
what prompts the boldness, because some people feel like, oh, just give me this, I don't have, what to eat. So what like should help you build the confidence, to negotiate?
Before we even say that, someone commented something that I want to highlight. They said $7 an hour is too low no matter where you live. 100% agree. And that's the first step in what you just asked me. Like, just because someone somewhere is willing to take it doesn't mean that you should. You need to try to make a livable wage for yourself so that you're not selling yourself short. But we've all been there. Like, I've had times where I've taken contracts where I'm like, am I getting basically paid $5 an hour right now? And as soon as that's over, I pivot, I learn, and I grow. Um, Somebody said they can't hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear her? Let me know.
Just making sure because somebody said they can't.
Yeah, guys, let me know if you
Okay.
can hear us.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
don't
waiting
think
for a
any,
confirm.
yeah, I'm not saying yes or no. So now I'm like, are we still live?
Oh, people are joining in from Akure. Guys, just confirm if you can hear us. Let me know.
Okay. Yay.
Oh,
Hi,
someone.
Khadijah. Hey, girl. Hey, Carrie. Okay, they can hear us. We're going to continue. So, um,
Yeah.
awesome. So, so like I was saying, there are bare minimums that nobody should have to expect. And if you're in a privileged enough position that you can not accept that, then I think you should. I think it's crazy what they ask some people. They'll be like, "Hey, we need an expert in SEO, and we want to charge, we want to charge $3 an hour." So, definitely set a bare minimum of like, I don't go below this. Now, obviously, like my minimum at this point is a little bit higher than it was when I started. But then
Mm-hmm.
you also need to be realistic. Like most businesses and individuals can't afford to pay you $500 an hour for your time. It's just not something like go off if you're doing that. Congratulations. Like I'm really happy for you. But most people can't afford to pay that. So you also have to look at like the market that you're in. You know, are you working with individuals? Are you working with enterprises where you can charge a flat fee and they can afford this rate that you feel like your service is valuable towards? So I think there's just nuance. Like don't accept absolutely terrible, but also don't be crazy because if you wouldn't pay it for your service, somebody else probably isn't either.
Uh-huh. So I think it's just, read the room,
Yeah.
understand the body language and look at, okay, can I, get off with this? Can I not? And yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I know you're a mom
Hmm.
and running a business and, you're dealing with clients. So let's talk about, work-life balance. So I'll start with, do you think work-life balance is a thing or do you think it's just a myth?
Okay. So I have a lot of opinions on it. I don't have a perfect answer. Again, I'm still going through my life too. What I have adopted that's worked really well for me and kind of my current belief system, if you will, is the idea of seasons. And so, just like with your rate, there's bare minimum floors of like, did I sleep at all last night? Am I so stressed that my blood pressure is up? I wear my little, shout out Fitbit to make sure that my health is okay after coming back from what I have. But I also think that there's seasons. Like right now, I'm in the middle of a podcast season on the first season. I have weekly content that I have cultivated that people are going to expect that I have to put out. I have stuff going on where I'm offboarding this client, onboarding this one. So I'm kind of in a more busy season. My kids are home for the summer. So we're a lot busier. They're busting into meetings and things like that. So this is a time where I know I have to prioritize sleep because otherwise I'll start making bad decisions. I have to turn down certain social plans unless I just can't help myself from seeing someone. But then there's other
Mhm.
seasons, like a few months ago, where I was like, okay, half of my clients are going on vacation right now. There's all these things happening where like I'm not necessarily at my 100%. I'm going hard capacity with
Yeah.
client services. So I poured into my branding. I redid a lot of my assets. I planned for the last 2 quarters of the year. You kind of have to ebb and flow with what's going on at the time and just accept that seasons have expiration dates. If you spend 2 years grinding and not sleeping much, then it's a lifestyle choice and you need to look at what you're doing and see what you can put in place to change that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could have come up with a better answer.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So in terms of, let's talk about priorities and,
Hmm.
you have kids, you have work. And so,
Yeah.
how do you set the boundary to say, okay, I want to spend time with kids. I want to, guys, give me time. I want to, work on this business. Like, what is the balance there?
Yeah. So it's complicated because when they're younger, they don't understand like, oh, mom and dad have to work and we're busy in these things, right? So when my kids were younger, it was just anytime I had a free second and I could spend it with them and they were awake, it was just making the most of that time because you're not going to get that time back. As they get older, it's still planning time a little more intentionally because they're able to understand, hey, mom's not going to be able to do the normal thing we do every night, whether it's read a story, sit with you at dinner, whatever. But on Saturday, we're playing Mario Kart for 10 hours, right? Like you can kind of communicate with them and they'll understand, oh, mom loves me. She's just kind of busy and like we can play Mario Kart all day Saturday. That's crazy. But I also think it's about boundaries. Boundaries are something that I don't feel like the business world likes that when we have them, but they're really
Mm.
important. You might have to skip an event or two, but at the same time, my daughter one time asked me to come to this thing that at her preschool it was like, we're singing a song very simple, 3-year-old stuff. No one was on beat, whatever, right? But she
Mhm.
asked me about it as soon as she found out, and it was like a month out. And I was like, I have no excuse to not block around that time and show up to that one event. Now, did I have to take meetings on my normal no meeting day? Yes, but I was able to do what I had to do. So, yeah, boundaries and being flex so you can hold your boundaries.
Wow, I think you've answered it because my next question was going to be, how you protect your time and all of that. So I
Yeah.
think as we round up, what's like one small action you think someone can take this week to sort of improve, their systems around whatever activity? It could be content creation, it could be,
Yeah.
reaching out to clients, it could be also running a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what inspired me to make the gift that you talked about for everybody. It's not a lead magnet. It's not going to put you on a list. Like it's just a thing that I made for you guys. It's essentially a time audit because when I started my business, the worst thing about me was I never estimated the proper amount of time it would take me to do something, and I didn't realize how much time I was spending doing stuff that did not matter, and that's why I was so stressed out all the time. And so whether you use my tool or you just make a spreadsheet with the days of the weeks and the times of the day,
Yeah.
figuring out like how much typically, if I'm being honest with myself, am I sleeping? Am I spending on work? Am I spending checking LinkedIn? Am I spending on my hobbies, right? People have a lot going on in their lives. Exercise that we always forget when we get too busy, right? So look at what you're doing with your time. Look at the results you're getting, right? Like, are you getting a lot of clients? Are you getting fit? Are you doing these things that these
Mhm.
time blocks are supposed to support? And then if you want to make a change, make your ideal schedule, right? And you go, okay, if I was really real with myself, I'd be sleeping X amount of hours a night. I would have X amount of work, during the week. I'd have this much time for family and hobbies. You look at the difference, and that's when you have to find tools and strategies to get you there. So, like, for example, with me, I'm coming back from this really insane up and down health journey where I kind of had to slow my way back into aggressive physical activity. But, like, I don't know if you can tell, I have energy, I'm ready, right? And so it started with being like, okay, I'm going to get someone to hold me accountable every week. Shout out Victoria if you're listening. Did you move your body this week? Did you go to the gym or take a walk or do something? Like, what are those steps on your watch looking like? And that was the best step I could for months. Now it's like, oh, I'm going to the gym. Did I go to the gym this week? And now changing my time to accommodate that more. So yeah, take the time audit, see what you're really doing, be real with yourself about why, see
Mm.
what your ideal schedule that you should be doing to get the results you want, and kind of use
Yeah.
tools and strategies to bridge the gap. That's the best thing I could suggest.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we've really had some actionable insights from you, Anna, and thank you so much for that. I think we've come to the end of this session, guys. So if you have a
Okay.
question for Anna, just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, we can give Anna some of her time back.
Okay.
So we just give a minute or
Let
two
me,
for them to ask a question. I'm just gonna confirm if people can see us.
I'm hoping they can. I'm checking my messages too because I was like, if something's wrong, someone will ping me and be like, it's wrong, it's frozen or something. So we're looking good.
Yeah. All right. Guys, please confirm if you can hear me. At least if all right. So someone says, I'm looking for real connections to share ideas and help each other. If oh, I think it's
Mhm.
pitching. I think it's just pitching.
That's another example of what you asked earlier. So we'll reiterate that while you wait because it looks like someone does have a question. Be really intentional and move the way that you would want people to move with you. It's totally cool to pitch. I love when someone has something great and they pitch it to me because I'm gonna eat it up every time. Like I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna do it. But you can't approach people like they're a wallet. It's just really distasteful and really annoying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Do you see the
So I
same
think
question I do about jumpstart tips?
yeah, I'm just gonna put this one up here. It says, does she have
Oh,
any
fancy.
quick
Okay.
jump starts? Yeah, that's why I like StreamYard actually.
Shout
Beside
out
the point.
StreamYard.
Yeah.
And shout out to Walter for putting us onto StreamYard. Walter Gaynor, I'll put his profile of the thing too. Like you need to follow
Yeah,
him. He's
what is
amazing.
amazing.
Um, okay, so the first tip is follow Walter. No, the first tip, let's see, on starting freelance platforms. Okay, so I have a love-hate relationship with the platforms. Again, I think they're a helpful tool, especially when you're like, I don't have exposure, no one knows who I am. I'm not trying to go to Indeed and apply for roles all day. So I would suggest doing, how do I put this? Doing work that maybe is like below your current level of skill. So like if you're a technical project manager, taking like a quick VA or quick, train somebody on Google Drive or whatever role that you see posted so that you can practice your client relationship building, get a really good review and show people that you can do good work. Upwork in particular, I know has a feature where you can also relate portfolio items to projects, which is really cool because people can see, oh, wow, look at this thing that he or she or they built, and then look at what the client said about it. So it's really getting social proof because unfortunately on the client side and the freelancer side, there are a lot of people exploiting vulnerable people and scamming them. And it can be really scary as a client or a freelancer to engage in
Yeah.
those relationships. So that's what I would say first is just take something low hanging fruit. It's not necessarily your goal contract, but show people that clients like you. And then you can start pitching and applying for the things you're excited about reference those reviews, right? Show them where they can see the social proof, but then also submit portfolio assets and proof that your work is good. I mean, that's one thing I like about LinkedIn. I can show people how I work and they're like, oh, that's what you do? That's helpful. I might need that for my business. They don't know if you just write them a nice letter that says I'm talented, everyone's going to say that. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, awesome. So I hope that helps you. So someone here says, does she have any advice for a new full-time freelancer?
Okay, so you're a full-time freelancer. So I'll be transparent. When I started my freelancing, I was still working a full-time corporate job. Now, strategically, I did take a very easy job that was like asynchronous as long as you got the work done, which allowed me to be home and to work really hard on my freelance business. But I will say for full-time freelancing, you want to spend a large portion of your time developing services that are going to pay you well, they're going to build and scale over time, right? You don't want to just start fully working on stuff to survive and then never grow. That would be a trap. But you also have to pay your bills. So if you don't have savings and you don't have the ability with your business model to get a loan and you don't have a full-time job, then I would say spend half of your time paying your bills. Take whatever contracts you have to, take a part-time contract you don't want that you know you can make happen, and spend the other time that you might normally spend watching TV or doing your hobbies and trade a good portion of that into building your business. Because when you're a full-time freelancer and you have to sustain past paying your bills, you really have to develop your skills, and people don't pay you to go take a course about how to do API requests, right? People don't pay you
True, true.
to build your brand assets. And so be willing to sacrifice a little bit of your leisure social hobby time without losing your mind so that you can get your desired dream services to get clients. But take what you got to. I mean, pay your bills. I very much think it's really dangerous advice to tell people to just go all in and it's going to be fine and just keep, yes, put it all out there, but like do something. Make sure you're okay too, because it's a lot harder to pour into your dream business when you don't have stability.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think an advice that a friend of mine gave me, especially when I was starting out, before I found like remote work, was that cash flow is
Mhm.
the soul of every business. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, whether you have like your high price and all of that, if in the season, your opportunities are not coming, learn how to
Hmm.
take what is on the table and keep growing, across um your ecosystem. So I think let's take this last question and then that should
Okay.
be says how to transition from just chit chat to a potentially with a potentially to pitching your services.
Hi, thank you for the question. This one's a sticky one for me. I think if you're chit-chatting with someone, it should be genuine. It should be because something they did was interesting to you or you have questions about their work. I think if you want to pitch someone, you have to give them a lot of value before they would see you as someone who they would want pitching them, that it doesn't just feel like a cold DM. So I would say go out of your way to make content about the thing you're pitching them for to make sure that they're passively seeing it in their feed. You'll start noticing typically if someone's connected to you and they vibe with you, they'll interact with your work. So I would say make content around the things that you do. And then if you get to a place where they're having a change in their business or an opportunity going on that could really use your service, you can be honest and just be like, hey, I saw, you're going through this change in your business, or I saw you're launching this thing. I enjoy your work so much, which is genuine because you do. And here's something that I would love to help. If not, no pressure. Happy to be connected with you. Like, make sure they understand. Like, I have this great idea, and I want to share it with you. But if you don't bite, I'm not going to like disconnect you. Like, this wasn't just a ploy, because
Yeah,
that just really puts people off if they feel like you were warming them up to become a client. I think that's kind of rough. So hopefully that
yeah.
helps.
So hopefully that helps. I'm just gonna find if this is question. One thing I do is
Hmm.
okay. I think it's a response. So I think with that
Yeah.
brings us to the end of the session, guys. Hope this was helpful for you, and please connect with Anna. Anna, I don't know if you have one last word for us.
Yeah, honestly, I actually just dropped a post on my page. It was scheduled shout out buffer of some free resources for you guys, because when I was starting out and even when I was growing my career and I felt like I had kind of made it, the thing that really helped me level up and helped me learn and helped me grow was people's free resources, their YouTube videos, their articles, their blog posts. And I want to start sharing some of those things as well for people who are growing and don't necessarily need to pay me for something. So please enjoy that.
But my actual parting words would just be like, show up for yourself, because it's really scary to believe in yourself and to put yourself out there. And you're like, what if my uncle or my friend from school sees this? It doesn't matter. They're not paying your bills. So do what you got to do, believe in it, and just show up in a really authentic way, and things will work out. You just got to do a lot of groundwork to make that happen. So we really
Yeah,
appreciate your time.
that's amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Thank you for making the time
Thank
for us,
you.
Anna. Guys, please
Yes.
connect with Anna. She's Anna Bullock on LinkedIn, and I will be sharing with some of these resources with you in our community as well. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Um, for those that join.